Hey guys, I'm back on customizing the Batwing from the Flash movie. From previous sections of the video, or from previous video, you probably saw that I had cut out the rear wheel and minimized this part over here. Actually, I took this whole thing out and then I've created a different rear wheel. That way I can lower down this floor and have my figure sit lower. I mean, a lot lower. This thing has now headroom before the cockpit closes. I'm gonna go ahead and create the seat now for the pilot, but I don't want to lose all that headroom that I've just created. I'm not worried about this part over here where the legs look kind of awkward, because I'm going to be creating a console over here anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up parts of this and create a seat here, and then I have a template over here for the back wherein I can create a template for how the seat's going to look, and then I'm going to cover that up with clay as well to make it look more natural. So stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, as I'm editing this video, I realized that I never posted this part of the customization, and I had deleted all the pertinent videos because I often clean up my camera's memory and all that stuff. Anyway, so when I'm referring to when I cut this part up, if you look at your Batwing right now, you'll see that this thing is black, and then the rear wheel is over here. This is the cover of the rear wheel, goes all the way down and all that stuff. So because it's so wide and so tall, you lose all this depth that you can use to further sink down your Batman. So what I did was cut this off here and all that stuff. Anyway, I still needed to cover it up, because obviously if you don't, then the wheel will basically show up in between Batman's legs. So I went ahead and utilized a small part of the original rear wheel because I could not duplicate this curve, and I wanted that, and I basically just used these little shims and covered this whole thing up. All right, so and then at the bottom I applied this white thing over here too, because this used to be the original opening for the wheel. I covered it up because it's not really necessary to expose so much of that space. So now it still closes, it's just covered up. So once I paint this up, this will be gone completely. I was initially thinking of putting plastic over here, like extending this and then have plastic over here, so that when you close it, all you'll see is this part and this whole thing will be covered up, but then you'll see this part still. And I was thinking, for all that work just to cover up this part, I didn't think it was worth it. The same thing with this one. This one I think would have been benefited much more better on it. I would have just extended this, create covering for this whole part over here. I don't think I'll do that. I think it's fine the way it is. This is too much stuff that I'm already putting into this project. So basically that's the missing part. The original video that I had on it, I was showing it step by step. Unfortunately, that all got deleted. So let's go back to the part where I'm customizing the seats. Oh, and then I also showed this part where I installed this backing over here. Again, I use the same shims to make sure it's a very, very strong connection. I might still use this for the two berets. I'm not sure. It won't be a NECA or McFarlane figure. It'll be something else. I think it was the SHF or the Justice League. Anyway, yeah, I'll use those for those two small ones. Anyway, let's go back to the original video. Okay, so I've laid down the initial clay over here. I'm using Cos Clay Sculpt medium firm. This is curable, oven safe, which case I would usually put it in an oven. However, I'm gonna try to boil it instead of bake it. That used to work with Super Sculpey. I'm hoping it's gonna be the same as this one. So if you don't have any sculpting tools, these are just basically dental tools. Also, I'm gonna smooth it out with this one. Sometimes I even use the butt end of a pencil just so I can move some clay around and try to smooth it out. So I'm gonna this is basically me establishing the width that I wanted, the basic shape that I wanted. Then I'll pull it out and then bake it, and then I'll finalize some shapes that I want. But first, let's see if we can sit back our figure over here, make sure it's covering everything I need to cover, and that I didn't raise it too high that it's messing up the pose that I want. Seems to be working fine. This is the template I'm going to use for the back seat that I'll cut out of the plastic. Well, plastic. That seems to be okay. Right, so let me see if I can lift this now. I have a variety of tools that I've basically amassed throughout the whole time that I've been sculpting. I haven't sculpted for the longest time. Let me just smooth this out a little bit more. I know it's warping right now. I'm not concerned about that. Because as I press this, as you notice that it's imprinted whatever the basic shape is. And now I'm just gonna use basically here to kind of smooth it out. I'm gonna kind of flatten it, but very gently, okay, because I don't want to mess up the pattern that's underneath this. Pattern underneath I'm referring to is this one right here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little bit more distinct. I know that even though it's no longer accurate, this pattern, I know that this basically will fit over this ridge over here. Then this is the ridge for this part. Okay. And where's my other tool? I made up this tool. It's basically like something like this, but I wrapped wire around it. What it basically does is it creates a rake pattern. So this is what we call a rake. This is used to slowly level out your sculpt. Okay, this is basically level at this point. I'm gonna boil it for about 15 minutes. Let it firm up, and then I can sculpt on top of it. I'll be right back. Alright guys, so now I have baked this a little bit, about 10 minutes or so. You have the pattern over here and you have this one over here, so this should fit in here. It's not, so I'm gonna have to sand off this part, or actually I can just probably cut it. Let's see. Before I work on putting the top on this one, I need to make sure it fits properly down. More than likely this thing got warped when I was cutting it. Okay. Still does not want to fit. As you notice, it's very easy to carve this out. I did not boil this completely. This should have been about 15 minutes. I boiled it about 8 to 10 minutes, enough for it to be firm so I can work on the surface. But at the same time, it allows me to carve easily into this one. It's carving basically like a hard cheese, if even that. That just gives me a lot of options to work with. Okay, this sits lower now. Okay. Okay, well, unfortunately, I don't really see what's being shot in my camera. So while I'm working, I don't know what's going on. I assume my camera is working, and apparently it wasn't, or at least it cut off at some point during the sculpt of the seat. So I'm not sure exactly how far the thing went. So basically, you guys were initially saw me working on this one. This is the cushion for the bottom seat. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's all grayed out. As you can see, it's basically shaped it and all that stuff. Smoothed it out. Unfortunately, I did some techniques that I was explaining to myself, apparently. Um, I don't know how far along this was. I'll have to check the video, but there are a few things that you can use. You probably saw that when I was initially sculpting it, it was really turning out pretty awful and rough and all that stuff. There's a few things you can do to smooth things out. One, before you boil it, while it's still fresh, is you can do the rake that I was using earlier. It's somewhere underneath here, but it kind of looks like this, and then it's got the wires wrapped around the here, so that when you're smoothing it out, it's going to create this, it'll cut a lot of the clay and create a uniform surface. On top of that, you can apply Vaseline. This is basically Vaseline, and then you just dab a little bit onto this brush, and the Vaseline works as a it's a softener in a way, but because what it does is that it allows you to have a softer, looser surface that you work with your brush, and the brush creates the final strokes to smooth it out. And you can kind of push a little bit on the clay to move some materials around if it's a little bit loose and all that stuff. The other thing I worked on, and I think you guys didn't see it, was to create this backing out of this material, which I forgot. I'm not sure if you guys ever saw my He-Man customization, or if I even posted it. I think I did, and it was a big mess. But anyway, I created this backing over here as a template for the back, right? So I know it's dirty. It looks like this. It's kind of dirty because I did something else on something on top of it. So once I have this, once I have the general shape of the back that I wanted, I basically, this is the wire mesh. Again, it should be on my He-Man review. And what I did was basically apply this wire mesh over here, right? So it copied the form, and then I cut it to fit and all that stuff. While this was here, I then applied the cosplay material. I smoothed things out and all that stuff, and then I did once I have the general shape that I want, I did the Vaseline and the brush and everything. So, and then I bold it, and here's the result. Okay, so this basically, I'm still going to use the initial template that I have because this is still kind of soft. As you can see, here's the wire mesh inside it. I will say, during the He-Man customization, I used the same technique where I used the wire mesh, and then I put clay on top of it, but I baked it. And when you're baking it, either the temperature gets too hot, uncontrolled, and it creates bubbles. As you can see, there's no bubbles in this particular molding, casting, or sculpture. So I'm still going to use this template, and this cosplay, I use cosplay because it's not as firm as Super Sculpey. It has a bit of you can bend it a little bit, so it's not forced. Okay, so I just need to clean it up a little bit because what I didn't think what was going to happen, so I didn't protect the surface, was that the clay would actually seep through the mesh and attach itself to this one. So when I boiled it, I had to pry it off of this. Okay, you don't want to put this while you're boiling this. Don't leave it in there, okay, because that's gonna warp and melt. So I had to pry this off, and I had to use a knife and everything to make sure I don't lose the shape that I've been sculpting on. So basically, once I'm done, I'm just gonna grab glue and glue this here and here, and then I'll put something like this. And there's the basic shape for the seat for Batman. Basic. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm gonna add anything more over here. Maybe I'll put something so there's no seams into this part, because once you paint it, it's not gonna be noticeable. And then I still have to put a headrest over here for the Batman figure. So that seat is still not done, but this is basically where I'm at right now. So he's gonna sit like so. So now he's sitting more comfortably. He's got an actual chair in there. I'm trying to do this way so he doesn't tip over. Okay. And then I'm going to put a console here to the side, console here to the side, console to the front. And finish off the headrest, having a back over here so it rises a little bit, and it'll hug his face a little bit. So that's where I am with the customization of the Batwing. I hope you followed through it as much as you can. I'll post more videos, and hopefully my camera won't die down the next time around, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing with the headrest. This is not done yet. Once what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand it a little bit so I can put some instrument panels to the side over here, some doodads. I still have to figure out how I'm going to do the side consoles and the console itself. So they want some dials and stuff like that in there. So Watch out for the next part of the customization. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.